Hey, this is Mark Moore, aka Tuxedo Mark, at various places on the internet. It's 9:35 a.m. according to the computer clock on Tuesday, December 23rd, 2014. And here's my review of Afterlife with Archie number 7. Finally, right? This took forever to come out. This is Betty R.I.P. Chapter 2. So I guess the one where Sabrina appears and Betty doesn't, last issue, is Betty R.I.P. Chapter 1. Anyway, this chapter is called Dear Diary. Little blurb on the back with, I think, a quote from a previous issue. Probably number 5. You can see an insert of the variant art, the variant cover here. Interestingly, my mom and I had gone shopping down south in Port Richey, and I went to the mall down there, and I saw this issue, but I didn't buy it because I knew that there would be the subscription issue coming in. I even saw the variants, but I didn't buy that one. I'm not really big into variant covers. Quote on the first page, "This is what it must have been like, that first Thanksgiving in a new world." I'm not sure who that's attributed to. I would guess it's Betty, because Betty's pretty much the narrator in this issue. She's narrating through her diary. Basically, the thing is, they weren't able to go back to her house to retrieve her diaries, so she's trying to recreate her old diary entries from memory. And that's where we get some flashback scenes of Betty growing up. Some interesting things here. First of all, her older sister Polly is a problem child, and she was upset that her parents loved Betty but not her. And she was really mean and harsh with Betty, and there's the meeting of Betty and Veronica for the first time in I don't know. Is it... They're both kind of older. I'm not going to spoil the whole thing, but anyway. I don't know when they're supposed to have met, but anyway, there's apparently the town, or at least Betty's mom, and Polly know that Mr. Lodge is cheating on his wife. There's a flashback of how it's interesting. Archie's the one that moves into the neighborhood, not Betty. That's a nice switch that I didn't pick up on when I originally read it. Not sure who these cheerleaders are that next to Veronica. I guess that might be Cheryl in the middle, but no, because Cheryl goes to Riverdale High in the normal continuity now, but in Afterlife she had been going to Pembroke, like in the old Archie continuity. And why is this thing not focusing? Come on. This is so annoying. Okay. I need to get my own camera. What the heck? Alright. In high school, because Mr. Weatherby broke the news, that's when Veronica's mom died. Let's see, at the present time, Archie and Betty share a kiss. Archie and some of the other guys have stopped shaving. Basically, they're going to stop to have their first Thanksgiving. It's Mr. Lodge's idea, and Archie eventually agrees to it. But before that, they hold a ceremonial funeral for their fallen friends and family. They put up gravestones and write on it with chalk. They're not burying anything. It's just for themselves. Mr. Lodge doesn't make a speech, even though Betty expected it. Ginger says a prayer in Spanish, and you can see she basically, I forget what it's called, when you make the sign of the cross, in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen. So she says that in Spanish. And, then Horde, Kevin's words, attacks. So, they keep running. They don't seem to kill any of these zombies. I guess because they're their former friends, but... Anyway. Lacey's department store, where... This is flashback, but this is where while they were on the move, away from Riverdale, they suited up for the weather getting colder. Lacey's, obviously it's a parody of Macy's, but it actually dates back to the old Archie Andrews radio show from the 40s. They sit around the campfire a lot, they're talking, and here's Cheryl. She looks nice. I'll get to Cheryl more in a bit. Odd quote from Cheryl. Isn't it about time that hag Sabrina showed up to wiggle her nose or whatever the hell she does to make everything go back to normal? Isn't that what always happens in these stories? Is she breaking the fourth wall in a horror comic book? Or maybe she just means in these stories, like, oh, this is, this is what we typically read in stories, in comics, the magic reset button. Maybe it's some kind of commentary about that. So, do they know that Sabrina was responsible for this? I already forget if there's any kind of connection, but they all seem to have had a dream about Sabrina having dinner with some monstrosities and stuff in her nether realm captivity. So that kind of ties in to last issue. Dreaming, having dreams, that's a big part of the Lovecraftian mythos. I haven't really read much of his dream cycle stories yet, but anyway. There was some dreaming that was a part of the Call of Cthulhu, which I have read. Now this next scene. They're hunting dinner for Thanksgiving in the woods. Cheryl and Jason go off. Betty's writing in her diary saying, "What must have Thanksgiving been like in the Blossom household diary? I can only imagine." You would think that this would mean this is Betty's idea of a typical Blossom Thanksgiving 7 years ago, but I'm guessing it's Cheryl's flashback because it ends with Cheryl, I guess, being pulled off remembrances or whatever. Sugar Blossom. For these longtime Cheryl Blossom fans like myself, Sugar Blossom was Cheryl's puppy in her solo series. She got it around 1999, 2000, somewhere around there. Her mom got Sugar for her as a companion. Somehow it surprised her by coming up out of her bathtub while she was taking a bath, which is cute. She just comes up and goes, yep. But how did her mom get a Pomeranian into Cheryl's bathtub and Cheryl did not notice it while she was taking a bath? She would have been right between her legs, I guess. Anyway, as you can see, this Sugar is not a Pomeranian. I don't know what kind of dog breed that is, but yeah, they're playing a bit loose with this. But anyway, apparently, when Jason comes and snaps Cheryl from memory, Cheryl's like, remember Sugar, the puppy I had? I loved her so much, remember? And then remember how Sugar died, choking on her own leash? No one could quite figure out how that happened. I was inconsolable. You see a panel here. Obviously, Jason had strangled Sugar. For what reason, I have no idea. Maybe he was jealous that Cheryl loved Sugar more than she loved him. Because remember, they're playing around with Cheryl and Jason being incestuous. And it ramps up here. Jason says, now, I consoled you the way I always did. The way I always will. Twincest. Cheryl's like, that's right, you did. You do. And she's holding her big old knife. Then Jason spots a zombie. And he's like, don't worry, sis, I've got this. Then there's some more flashbacks from Betty. Dating Archie. Polly apparently having an abusive boyfriend. New boyfriend named Nick, who gave her a black eye. I wonder if that's a reference to Nick St. Clair from the Bad Boy Trouble storyline. Anyway. When Archie and Betty get home from Josie and the Pussycats concert, when Betty gets home, her mom's up waiting for her and says that they sent Polly away. Yeah, she's a problem child and they sent her to a special home. Anyway, Betty wonders what's been happening with Polly, and Veronica is suspicious of Betty, of how she and Archie are Betty always goes missing, Archie always goes looking for her. So Betty says she's trying to recreate her diary. Of course, Veronica gets all jealous and wants to know if Betty's writing about lovey-dovey stuff about Archie in there. She snatches her diary away. Archie tells her to give it back. Veronica almost throws the diary in a fire. She is horrible. But then, before that happens, Cheryl arrives. Wow. Betty's like, she was like Harry after the prom. They throw a lot of horror pop culture references in here. Like real, not veiled, not with a name changed or whatever. Anyway, Cheryl's like, Jason's dead. It was awful, and my name's not Cheryl anymore. It's Blaze. Freaking awesome. And Betty writes, Dear Diary, I'm not sure, but I think Cheryl Blossom may have murdered her brother Jason. Wow. We don't know for sure. We don't know what happened. I mean, Jason could have been killed by the zombie. He could have been turned. Maybe Cheryl just fished him off them. We don't know. But the way that Cheryl is acting when Jason's reminding her of how he consoled her, maybe she just doesn't want this relationship anymore. Because the way that she's looking real contemplative while she's holding that knife. And then the next time that you see her, she's being all, Jason's dead, it was awful. Oh, and my name's not Cheryl anymore, it's Blaze. This is a relatively obscure reference. Back in 1990, I think for 1 year, from 1990 to 1991, there was a short-lived, only 6 issues, series called Archie's Explorers of the Unknown. The premise is Archie reads a comic series or whatever called Explorers of the Unknown, and he starts thinking about how all of the characters remind him of people that he knows. So then it goes into Archie's mind where he and his friends are a secret, I don't know if secret team, but they're like a government-sponsored team called Explorers of the Unknown. And their government contact is codenamed Blaze, Blaze Blossom, and it's Cheryl. And that was really significant. It was, obviously I discovered this way later, but at the time it would have been really strange thing that they did was, okay, Cheryl Blossom was introduced in Archie Comics in like mid to late 1982, and I believe it's 82, and she stayed there for about 2 years, she and her brother Jason. And then they were unceremoniously dropped. They just disappeared. Presumably they got like, the story is Archie Comics got one complaint in from a parent about Cheryl being too racy, so they dropped her. Obviously they didn't bring her back until late 1994 with the Love Showdown storyline. But in 1990, she was briefly brought back, not as herself, but as a character, Archie's Explorers of the Unknown series, called Blaze Blossom. She wasn't a member of the team, but she was their government contact. So this is a reference to that. Wow. Anyway, nice hypothetical cover artwork on the back. I didn't really notice it. Betty's dreaming that everyone is turned into a zombie except her, I guess. I'm not sure what this is supposed to be. Archie in the hand of the Grim Reaper, maybe? Anyway. Then, afterwards with Archie, the letter column. From the Vault, Chilling Adventures in Sorcery. Last issue they had a preview of Chilling Adventures of Sabrina #1. Now they're going back to reprinting the old black and white Chilling Adventures in Sorcery stories. I still haven't read any of these, but anyway. Next issue, issue number 8. Nice cover featuring Betty, plus an insert of the variant cover. Football game. Betty is shocked to notice, I guess, I guess zombie Veronica, maybe? Zombie cheerleader, anyway. Holding Archie and Jughead's decapitated heads. Awesome. Dark Circle Comics, I guess it's a revival of the Red Circle superhero line. It's weird that they have a character named the Shield. Wouldn't Marvel have something to say about that, maybe? Anyway. Good issue. Pick it up. And, oh, I think there was a bit of, just before I close out, during the dream, where's the dreamscape stuff? Ginger flirts with Nancy that they're being connected because they have a common dream, but then Chuck says he dreamed about Sabrina too, and Ginger's like, oh, whatever, Chuck. So there's a bit of Ginger flirting with Nancy and then dismissing Chuck. I wonder if this is going to go anywhere. But anyway. Good issue. I highly recommend it. It was worth the wait. There were some spelling errors I noticed in here, but anyway, overall good issue. It's 9:57 a.m. and that's it. Thanks for watching.